Hello. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm streaming from the camera I actually record with. And the last time we did this, it was it worked for a minute, but it didn't work for the entire time. So hopefully we have sound. So if you guys can hear me, please drop a comment in the chat. And we will get going. Hi, RJ. Can you hear me? If not, I may have to switch cameras and come back in just a second. I don't know if the other one is even plugged in, and if I can switch, I don't know. We'll find out. Where's my knife? I can't tell. Oh, there's a little bit. I don't know how loud it is, though. Okay, so there is sound. It's just, I don't know if it's loud enough for you guys or not, and I don't have a way to check it. So if you can hear me, please drop a comment. If not, we're going to have to figure that out. I think I completely ruined this one the other day. It is not acting right. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I know this was like very last minute, but I had posted my project this morning for Doodlebug, doing the little Monster Mash album that, of course, is not even in my room at the moment. I think it's still out with my photo booth. And had somebody comment today about the construction. So apparently, not only did I not record the construction, I didn't notice when I edited the video that I didn't record the construction. So since I'm going to have to record it anyway, I figured I would hop on here and do a very, impromptu live, and we'll go ahead and build the album. I'm not going to decorate it because I put that paper away at this point, but we'll take you through the construction. Then I will link the this video in the description on the other video where I go through how I constructed the front of the album and did the little doors on the inside of the album and so on and so forth. So we are starting with 2 pieces of chipboard that are 5x7 and one that is 7 by 1.5. I am getting my tape on the back of these really quickly. It's not something I normally do on camera, so this is probably good. So you can kind of see how I do this. I prefer the tape rolls. Score tape people do make the large rolls of tape like this. However, they cost about twice as much as the ones from scrapbook.com. So I always get the scrapbook.com one. I'll just tell you that much because I feel like I waste way less of it than I do with the score tape sheets. I literally threw away a whole stack of like, what do you want to call it? Like just leftover, like weird size pieces that you're never going to pull out and try to piece together on a project and use. So what size is this? This is not my piece. That's my hinge. This is my piece. Okay. And then we need to put it also on this one. So this is going to be our reinforcement piece for the center part of the book. So I'm going to put it on here as well. And we'll call it good. Yeah, so if you're just hopping in, we are going to construct the album that I did that was posted this morning for Doodlebug with the Monster Madness collection. Because apparently I was like, oh, maybe I just forgot to edit it in there. And I came in here and I went to like go and put it on to upload it and discovered, oh no, I didn't even record it apparently. So I'd hit a button that didn't work apparently. So we're going to go ahead and just build this because it is such an easy one. And then I can show you guys exactly how to build this. And we can kind of chat while we're at it. This is a really simple album. It only takes maybe 10 sheets of cardstock. I was trying to keep track and I was not paying good attention. All right, so chipboard is 5 by 7, 7 by 9 to wrap it. So you're always going to do 2 inches bigger than your cover. For your spine, you're going to do 2 inches higher and 3 inches wider. So you're going to go ahead, and I have my Clearview cover spacers. These are on my website if you have not seen them already. You can see exactly where your paper's lined up. They're etched so you know which one you're looking at and which one you want to use. So that you're not having to try and remember or hope, get the wrong spacer in there and so on and so forth. So, all right. So I've got the backing off the tape. I've got the 1 inch and the 1 inch. And clearly I did not cut this the right size, did I? What did I do? I grabbed the wrong piece. Ooh, that's not good. I know what I did. Okay, we're just gonna toss that one because I have leftover pieces from a project I did over the weekend. And I forgot I did have to cut them down, that they were 5 by 8, not 5 by 7. They were like offcuts with a laser project I did over the weekend. So we're going to fix that really quickly. I'm going to cut myself another piece to wrap that with. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I typically record my tutorials and I don't do them live because I just suck at this sometimes. And it's okay. We can't all do it perfectly the first try. So, where did I just put my, that's all down. Okay, let's go ahead and get the tape on the back of this one. And I'm totally just going to waste like a little bit of this here, but that's okay. So, all right, that's over there. Okay. So let's try and put our cover together again. Now that it's actually the right size. Didn't even look at that before I went to go stick that down. So there you go. It happens. Happens probably more than you would think, but it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off the tape. 1 inch top spacer, 1 inch side spacer, and drop that down. I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the other one. And again, if you're just hopping in, I posted my little Monster Madness album this morning, and it was pointed out to me that the construction of the book and the pages was actually not there. So I figured since I'm going to have to record it anyway, I'm going to hop on really quick and just do it live, and then we can just drop this the link to the live in the description on that video, because I had done like the decorating and how I did like the little doors on the inside pages and everything. That all got recorded. But this part apparently didn't, and I didn't notice. So, okay, there's our spine. Our spine is 1.5 by 7. The cardstock to wrap the spine is 4.5 by 9. Okay. So we're all done with the spacers. I'm going to move the scoreboard for just a minute. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is fold my chipboard or my cardstock around my chipboard. Okay. So I'm just using the chipboard to bend that cardstock around, and then I'm burnishing the fold. Okay. Super easy. Let's get this. There we go. I'm going to do that on all 3 pieces. Okay. And last but not least, we're going to do that on the spine. And I know it's late on a Friday night. And this was literally, we came back from running errands, and I went, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to remake it and record it anyway, so we'll just do it this way. All right, so we're going to go ahead and miter. So what you've got now is you've got your pieces, they're bent, they're creased, and you're going to use that as your guide when you go to miter this. Okay. You don't need to be like overly aggressive. I'm just taking a little wedge out. Okay. It's been a long time since I've done something that obvious and missed something that obvious on a tutorial. I don't know. It was just one of those things. Okay, so that one's good. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other 2. So hopefully everybody's had a good start to the weekend so far tonight. I basically ran errands and went to Home Depot looking for Christmas stuff that supposedly is out, but was not actually out yet. That's okay. Just know I will be stalking Home Depot for the next little while here, but that's okay. And yeah, I went to the grocery store, all that kind of mundane stuff. And then tomorrow we have play tickets. So we're going to a play tomorrow afternoon. So that will be fun. And other than that, I am working on a very large, well, not very large, a large Christmas album. It will be a kit. It is using Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Believe, which is beautiful paper. And I'm actually building a prototype for it just to make sure it comes out the way I want it to. And that's what I've been working on this week. So hopefully I get that finished up tonight after this. And then can do the real tutorial, making sure it's actually recording this time as opposed to what happened with this video. And, you know, there we go. Because it's one thing when I do the dumb things like this, when it's just a, you know, little freebie tutorial, but when it's like kits that people are paying for, that's a bigger deal. So, all right, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going around the outside edges and putting down 1/4 inch score tape. And that one just ran out. So let me grab another. Where are they? I don't know where they're supposed to be. Oh, where did I put those? Well, that's concerning. Did I really organize myself out of my tape? That would be about right, quite honestly. Alright, well, we're going to use... I'm going to use the scrapbook.com 1/4 inch, even though I hate it. Because I don't know what I did. I remember putting it somewhere safe. Somewhere where it would be easier to get into. And there is not 1/4 inch in that drawer. Haha. All of it is 3/8 and 1/2 inch. Weird. Okay. That's okay. This stuff works just as well. It just seems to like not want to, I don't know. It does. Their big tape is fine. The 1/4 inch is like not my favorite, but that's okay. All right. And then on the spine, we are going to put it on the ends only. Our little wings here, it's going to go on the other side. Okay. So I'm going to turn that over. I'm going to put this on the edges here. One second. Okay. All right. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to burnish along the edge of the chipboard. And you can see how that then becomes very defined where the edge of that chipboard is. Okay. Like so. We're going to turn it over. I'm going to grab my glue and I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of my tape on both ends here. And the reason that I use the tape and the glue is it's going to grab immediately without me having to sit and burnish it for 5 minutes while I wait for the glue to set up. Okay, so glue along the edge of the chipboard in that little open area between the spot or the chipboard and the tape. And you're going to fold it over and burnish it down. Okay, so along the edge of the chipboard in your little open area there, push up against the edge of the chipboard, fold it over, burnish it down. Okay, we do the exact same thing on our cover, and we're going to do it all the way around. Okay. All right. So, going to go along the edge of the chipboard. This looks like it's trying to clog on me. There we go. Okay, push up against the chipboard, fold over, burnish it down. Okay. I know, I haven't done a live in like 2 or 3 months. I have not had time. I have been so busy between destashing and putting all that stuff on Whatnot. It's just been insane. You know, I have a hard time. Okay, so honestly, I would rather just do the construction part and like pass it off to somebody to mat and decorate, quite honestly. I'm getting better. I'm enjoying it more, and that's probably partially because I'm not getting, well, with the exception of Doodlebug, but I love all Doodlebug, so that's not an issue. I'm not getting random stuff sent to me by a design team that may not be my style, or they may not send me the elements I want to work with, and that's helped. So my biggest suggestion with that is if you're, designing and building your own, which awesome, that's awesome. When you go to buy a paper collection, like, take your time before you just buy everything in a collection, because you're going to end up with either too much stuff, or you're going to end up with things that you don't want to use, but you're going to feel like you need to use, if that makes sense. Because I know, I've been going through and doing this huge de-stash of stuff, and, finding things where I bought everything in a collection and I used like half of it. Like, I didn't use all the ephemera. I used the paper. I mean, obviously I used the paper, but I had all kinds of ephemera that I didn't use, or that I decided I didn't like once I had it. So that would be one thing. Another thing that I do personally is I will look at a paper collection, either online, if I'm in person in a store, you know, what have you. And I'll kind of look at the elements that are available. So I'll look at the patterns on the papers. I'll look at the colors. I'll look at the ephemera and that kind of thing and see if there's any one element that kind of speaks to me. Okay. Where I go, oh, this is what I want to focus on, or this is what I want to kind of design this around. And that honestly with Doodlebug works so well, obviously, because I mean, my whole little, you know, Monsters Pinking Out of the Door album. So don't feel like you have to buy absolutely everything in the collection, because especially as I've started doing my own kits and selling my own kits of albums that I have designed, I'm really noticing like what kind of things I like, what kinds of things I don't like, and what things I actually end up using. Like, I don't know how else to explain it aside from that. But there are so many incredibly talented people out there making albums and sharing them, and some do tutorials and some don't. And you're very welcome. You know, some do tutorials, some don't. Some charge for tutorials, some don't. Like my tutorials themselves are always free. I do sell cutting guides now. And then I do sell kits with most of them. I've been doing the kits now for about 6 months. You know, so I do kits for most of them, not all of them. Like this Doodlebug where they didn't have New Halloween. I already had some other things going. I wasn't going to bring in the Halloween to do a small kit like this because I used too many different pieces and parts and it would have been really expensive. But I've noticed, you know, I've gotten a better feel for like what I want to use. And I'm getting better at like looking at what is available in a collection and picking what I want to use. So hopefully that helps. All right, we're going to attach our covers to the spine. So I'm going to pull off my tape on one side and I'm going to add glue. So you do not want to go up to the edge of the chipboard. This is partially why we're, you know, burnishing that down and really outlining where that chipboard is, and also to help us lay this on there and put it together. So I'm staying about 1/8 of an inch away from the chipboard. I'm getting all the glue in here. You don't have to use a ton, but you want to use enough to get it to stick. Okay, down here I can see that my edges are lined up. Up here I can't, so I'm going to use my fingernail and I'm going to keep it at the top of the spine, and I'm going to use that as a guide to pull my chipboard cover across until I feel it drop off, the edge of that spine. And then I'm going to put it down. Where I've got the tape and the glue, that tape is going to grab it immediately, so it's not going to slide out of place and end up crooked. And then the glue is going to make sure it holds forever. Sorry, my son's out there playing music, and I told him to turn it down, and he's not listening. And he's about to get yelled at live on camera. Okay, we're going to do the other side. Okay, so again, I'm using my fingernail to guide until I feel it slide off the edge of that chipboard. And it's hard. It's not something I can really show you. It's something as you do it, you'll feel it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to burnish this down. Okay. And then I'm going to take my other piece here. That is my piece to reinforce this center. So this is 1 inch wider than the width that we used for the spine. So our spine was 4.5. Our spine cardstock was 4.5. This is 5.5. It's 1/8 of an inch shorter, so this is 6 7/8 tall. The back of this is covered completely in tape, except for like this one little corner at the top that I'm going to fix here in about 2 seconds. The reason for this being all tape and no glue is that as you put this down, it will, stick to everything in the way at the same time. It will go down smoothly. It will adhere without bubbling, and you don't have to worry that it's going to pull up, that you're going to have glue lines, that it's going to bubble in places. It is going to stick down absolutely 100%. I always kick myself when I like go on to crops or something. I'm building an album and I forget my tape and I end up gluing one of these because I never am happy with the results. So, okay, there's our tape. We're going to center it and drop it down. And then we are going to burnish again. I'm going to turn it. Where you see that crease starting to form, you're going to burnish into that crease and push that cardstock into that crease. Okay. And turn the other direction. Do the same thing again. Okay. And then I always close them like this and pinch because that's going to set that reinforcement piece in there. It's going to make sure everything is locked in, ready to go. Okay. So next up, we have our hinge. So our hinge for this one is 5 1/8 wide by 6 3/4 high. And I have lost my scoring stylus. There it is. I need my notes. So for this one, we are going to do a 3/8 of an inch gusset, which is not what I normally do, but I wanted to get a bunch of pages into this without it being too wide. Okay. So our hinges that we're actually attaching our pages to are going to be 1/2 inch, like always. The space between them is where the 3/8 is going to come in. Okay. So with the 5 1/8 at the top, we're going to score it 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 3/8. And this is where, you know, the crafty math gets all sorts of fun. 1 7/8. 2 3/8. And the cutting guide for this has all these measurements on it. It's free on my website, scrappingundertheinfluence.com. Where was I? 2 3/8, 2 3/4, 3 1/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/8, and 4 5/8. Okay. Now we are going to assemble our hinge. So what I'm going to do is find my pencil. We're going to mark the pieces that are eventually, okay, so this is 80-pound linen cardstock. This is the same stuff I put in my kits. This, typically speaking, unless it's been in a craft room sitting underneath an air vent or something with heat blowing on it, typically this doesn't crack. 65-pound for construction is not heavy enough. I don't think it's heavy enough for pages or flaps for that matter either. 110 is too heavy. You just need, the biggest thing honestly is quality. Like, you know, I know Michael's and Hobby Lobby sells cardstock. It's okay, but it's not as good a quality. I am going to be selling packs of my cardstock here. I haven't had time to like sit and like get it packed up and get it on the website. I am going to start selling it. I have the black, which is black truffle luxury linen cardstock. I also have white cashmere, red Ferrari red, and then creme brulee craft. So yeah, it's 80-pound is the way to go, especially if it's a good quality 80-pound. Now, that being said, when I first started doing this, I was buying cardstock at Michael's. It was fine. I didn't realize that, you know, the reason some of my books weren't holding up as well, or, you know, kind of were a little wonky, like sometimes my score line seemed off, is because the cardstock itself was off. You won't have the issue with this. So hopefully I get those up there this weekend. We'll see how it goes. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to put X's on the pieces that are going to glue together. Okay. So you have XX skip, because where we're skipping is our gusset. Okay. Like so. Then you are not going to start at the end and start folding. You are going to start on one of your middle hinges. Okay. I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to make sure that I am lined up side to side. In fact, let's see if we can go in just a little bit. There we go. Oh, too far. Okay. So my corners are lined up. Nothing's hanging off. Okay. I'm going to burnish from the middle out. Okay. You don't want to start at one end and push across, because that's how you end up with crooked score lines. Even though your score mark was absolutely straight, when you're putting that pressure on it, pushing across, that's how they get out of line. Okay. We're then going to fold back. And again, we're going to burnish from the middle out. Okay. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to fold that little hinge back towards myself. And again. Okay. We're not gluing yet. We're going to go to our next middle hinge. Okay. Same thing. I'm making sure I'm lined up side to side and burnishing from the middle out. It's not the right place. I was like, something's weird. Okay. Same thing. Middle out. Turn it over. Fold it back. Middle out. Middle out. Now your end pieces, they're not going to be as, and there's not a whole lot to line up. So for the most part, you can just fold those over. As long as you're burnishing from the middle out, you'll be fine. Okay. I do the same thing when I'm doing like my flaps and my pockets and anything else that I'm scoring within an album. I do it the same way. Okay. So everything is now, oops, no, we didn't go this way. Okay. Everything's now been folded. So we're going to repeat the same process, only now we're going to glue. Okay. I'm going to take one of my middle spots and get my glue on there. And fold it over, making sure I'm still lined up, that our corners are not hanging over. And again, from the middle out, middle out. You may have glue that seeps out. That's absolutely fine. Fold back, and you're going to burnish it again. And again, you may have glue leak out. It's fine. Turn it over, fold it back again, and burnish it again. That one is glued, ready to go. Okay. Now we'll go to our next middle piece. And again, you want enough glue to hold. You don't need like gobs of it. Okay. All right. So middle out, middle out. Fold it back, middle out, middle out. Turn it over, fold it back, middle out, middle out. Okay. Then we will do our two ends. And again, those are much easier because we're not having to fold it every which way. But you're still going to burnish it the same way. Okay. And the last one. Okay. And back, and one more time. All right. So now we can go back out, and we can go ahead and put this in the book. So I am going to hold it in the middle, flip it over, okay, get glue on the back there, and that is just going to get centered up on your spine. Okay, so I'll hold it with one hand and burnish, and then go back the other way and burnish it again. Oh, that didn't stick. Probably didn't burnish it enough. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to grab the scoreboard again. And we're going to do our page bases. So our page bases, there's 4 of them. They are 9.5 by 6 3/4. And where did my scoring thing went? With the 9.5 at the top, you're going to score at 4 3/4. Okay. These are incredibly simple pages. They're literally just getting folded in half. So nothing fancy. You don't have to assemble anything. Just, very straightforward. And I love when I can do pages this way without having to assemble them necessarily. But then all your albums end up being the same size, which is very easy. Very handy. Saves paper, but you don't always want them the same size. Okay, so there's our pages. We're going to do the exact same thing with folding these. I'm going to fold it over, make sure I'm lined up on the corners here, and then burnish from the middle out. Okay. And again, and one more. Okay. All right. So now that should have set up enough. We're going to put our pages into our book. So I'm going to use my hinge spacers. If you have not seen these yet, I have actually filed for a patent on these because the more I use them, the more I like them. So what this is these are going to keep your page base 1/8 of an inch off of away from the base of your hinge so that your pages turn smoothly. Okay, so you're going to slide them on, make sure they're pushed all the way down. And what I'm going to do, and this is going to seem weird, but it makes sense. The more I've used them, it makes more sense. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on the bottom and on the bottom, or I'm sorry, in the corners, not on the bottom, in the corners, like so. Okay, I'm going to set this down over the hinge. Make sure I'm lined up top to bottom. And then I'm just going to pinch. And I'm going to hold this for a second to give this a minute to dry so that when we slide our hinge spacers off and we go to glue in the center section, it's on, it's holding, we're good to go. Okay. And do the same thing again. And we're going to go all the way across with all 4 pages doing this exact same process. Okay. So we got glue in our 4 corners. Set it down on our hinge. And hold it for a second. Okay. And again. And hold. It's like the slowest part of the whole thing is waiting for it to dry enough that you know it's going to sit. It's going to set up and hold and everything's good. And no, I have not actually glued the bottom of my pages closed yet. That's okay. It will still be fine. Okay. All right. Okay. And we're going to hold that for a second. Okay, that should all be good. So now when you're taking these out, again, these are available on my website, you want to just slide them straight out. Don't try and pull them up and over. They will break. Okay. It's okay if you get glue on them. It's not going to hurt them. And then I'm just going to actually go from the middle, fold everything over and down flat. Okay. And then I'm going to come back here and you see how we've got that little, yeah, maybe you can't. You see how it's lifting up there? You've got like that little bubble. You're just going to take that little tip on your glue bottle and go inside there, flip it the other way, go inside, and then same thing along your bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to wipe up extra glue and then I'm just going to burnish it down. And you may get a little carried away with the glue. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. Although if you are matting your spine before you put your hinge on, you do want to watch it, because I have done this more than once where I've gotten carried away with the glue and ended up pulling up some of my pattern paper. And sometimes it's an easy fix, and sometimes it's not. Okay. So again, and again, I'm just going to make that up. Okay. And just continue on. Okay. And last one. The only suggestion I will make is when you're doing this part, after you've pulled the spacers out, start from whichever page you put in first. That's where you want to start from, to make sure everything has good set up on the other end. Okay. All right. There's our pages. Everything's in. All right. Let's make our page elements. Again, these all four are the same. So you're going to have 4 inserts. Are my inserts? Yes. 4 inserts that are 4 3/4 by 6 1/2. These do not have any scoring. Okay. You will have 4 flaps that are 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. On all 4 of these, with the 4 1/4 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. Okay. All right. And then you're going to have your pockets. Your pockets are 4 1/4 by 7 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to start with the 7 3/4 at the top. I'm going to score it 1/2 inch, and I'm going to score it 7 1/4. Turn it to the 4 1/4 side, score it 1/2 inch. Okay. All 4 of these are going to be the same. And this will hold a surprising amount of pictures, I will say. I need to go through and find Halloween pictures and actually put some in my own book, because I'm terrible about that. I never go back and put pictures in. I think I have 3 albums that actually have pictures. Because, yeah, I don't know. I like making them. I like making them all pretty with the paper. And that's as far, it's like once I do that, I'm like, oh, look how pretty it is. I want it to just sit and be pretty. But that's me. Okay, so pockets. You're going to miter at the top. When you're mitering, you want to cut out from the score line. You don't want to cut in towards the score line. Okay, then you've got down here on the bottom where the score lines cross, you want to cut that off. Okay, so just angle your scissors right across that score line and cut that off. Because what this does is this takes the bulk out of the pocket. So when we go ahead and fold this up and go to put it in our book, it's not going to be like all, weirdly poochy on the bottom where the pocket is. Okay. And there. And there. Okay. And the reason we miter at the top is because sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you'll still end up with like a little edge that might peek just a hair above your pocket, or what have you, and you don't want that. So by mitering it, it kind of takes care of that. Okay, and then we're going to miter our flaps. I'm going to do these 2 at a time. So we're just going to miter these the exact same way. And there. And there. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your book, you're going to take a pocket, and fold all your tabs. Same thing again. Burnish from the middle out. I promise you, your stuff will come out so much more even if you do it that way. Okay? Unless, of course, you're like me and your paper slips without you realizing it, in which case, then it won't. But it won't be for lack of trying. Okay? And there. And there. I'm just going to go ahead and fold all of these while I've got them. Okay. All right, so these are going to go to the inside. They don't have to. If you want them to go the other direction, by all means do that. But where we've got inserts going in here, it makes more sense to have your pocket open to the outside. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get glue on here. This, I think, needs refilled, actually, is what my problem is. Okay. So we're going to line that up. You don't want to go over onto your hinge. You just want to go to the edge of that page face and burnish that down. Okay. Then you're going to take one of your little flaps and fold and burnish that. That is going to go right there on top. Now, if you wanted to do ribbon to keep this closed, you absolutely could, depending on how you're matting and decorating. If you've got heavier embellishments you want to put on this to help keep it closed, by all means do that. What I ended up doing was using, I have 1/4-inch square magnets that, yeah, they're tiny. That's what I ended up using. So there's 2. Let me grab my tape. And so when this is finished, your flap is the same height as your pocket, or same width as your pocket. Okay. And then when I've got that little teeny magnet on there, that will stay closed. I love my magnets. I can't help it. I don't know. And then your insert will go in just like so. And what I had done on my other book, which apparently is not in here, I left it out in the other room after I took pictures, because of course I did. I had the monsters and stuff on here, and I did this as if it were a door. So that much is all in the tutorial that got uploaded this morning. It was this crucial piece of actually assembling the base for this that did not make it into the tutorial. Maybe I am a little gummed up. Hold on. Because it feels heavy enough to have glue in there still. And now I'm just gummed up, which happens sometimes. And, you know, that's been sitting there like that for the entire week. And normally I put the cap on when I go to bed at night. And I've had enough going on. I haven't even bothered to do that. So there you go. Here's our next one. There's nothing on the back, so that's just photo space. You've got, you know, front and backs of the flaps, depending on how you want to do your flaps. That is also photo space. And then you've got your pockets. So lots and lots of rooms for pictures on this one, which is always good. And that's one magnet. I do like these because they're so tiny. They're not as hard to get apart as the bigger ones that I normally use, which is nice. So taping one down, closing that, dropping the other one on top of it, and then taping it down, which then of course would get matted over. Okay, our next pocket. Okay, And get that one down. Push him down. Okay. Oops. A little bit too much glue up there. But that's okay. And I do typically use glue when I'm assembling stuff like this. You can use tape. It really depends on where you live. Like when we lived in Georgia, the tape did not ever seem to want to hold for very long. Didn't matter what kind I used. If it was score tape, it was the Scotch ATG gun. It didn't matter. We came back to Utah and I didn't have a problem with it. So I don't know. I would have thought it would have been the opposite, where, you know, as dry as it is here in Utah, that would cause my tape to dry out, but never had an issue with tape for as long as we've lived here. The only issue I ever have with the glue is sometimes if I've got older cardstock that I don't realize I have older cardstock, it tends to soak up the glue. And again, that's just because it's a very dry climate here, and that's just kind of what happens. So. Okay. Way too much glue on that one. But you know what? It'll be fine. It's mostly on the bottom here where it's not going to matter much. Okay. And our last flap. Okay. That one's going down there. I'll grab two more of the teensy magnets. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Just texting my son to see if he will bring me Monster album. Because for whatever reason, I literally thought it was like in here. I thought it was behind me, and it's not. It's not. Okay. So there's that. Let's go ahead and do the rest of our inserts. Thank you. Thanks. And insert. So that one doesn't want to go in. So that's not the right height. That one looks like it's too tall. Hold on. It was. It happens. Okay. So that is how you construct the book. The rest of it, the tutorial is on my channel, and this was the finished project. So this was the Monster Madness collection. It came out in 2021 or 22. I bought it at the time it came out and never had time to work with it. I was so excited when they sent me this one to use for this month. My next one's going to be with Hey Pumpkin, and I don't know what I'm making yet. I got to figure it out because it's due in like a week. But that's okay. So I've got the Chit Chat. This little door file is from Lori Whitlock. It has cut files of almost all the Doodlebug collections. So whatever, like the pieces that are in the odds and ends pack, they have cut files for a lot of them. And they're like $1.50. They're not expensive. The cut file had the little monsters peeking out. Oh, you're in Utah too? Oh my gosh, I used to love that. I came when we got stationed in Colorado. I drove over from Colorado to go to that Scrapbook USA in Sandy. Yeah. So I'm out in Harriman. So yeah, there you go. I use Doodle Pops instead of the monsters that are part of the cut file. But then that's where I'm talking about our inserts. We have little monsters peeking out, and there's their little doors that open and close all the way through the book. And we've got our little monsters and so on and so forth. And all of the rest of this is in the tutorial from this morning. So Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, this is the piece out of the odds and ends. Oh, you're a draper, so there you go. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you found me too. That's awesome. This is the odds and ends piece. The cut file, we'll do it like this. I trimmed it and I cut the little kitty off the top and I used doodle pops instead of cutting those 3 little monsters. But yeah, so there you go. And then I did a little scene building on the back with some odds and ends. But so that is the construction that was missing from this tutorial from this morning. So there we go. If anybody has any questions, drop them in the chat. This one does not have a kit, but it does have a free cutting guide with all your measurements, your scoring, and everything written down for you on my website. You just go out there and download it. And then I've got 2 Halloween kits on my site. I've got one using, in fact, this one, there's only 2 of them left. This is Photoplay's Halloween Junk. This is on my website for sale. There's 2 of these left. I don't think I'm restocking this one. And my other one is using Ghosts and Goblins from Echo Park, and it's super cute. And that one, I think I've got 5 left. So there you go. Those are the only Halloween kits that I have this year. We're going to have a bunch of Christmas. We're going to have a bunch of Christmas. Like, I've got 4 lines right now. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me again. Oh my gosh. I have 4 different Christmas albums coming for sure. And then I'm not sure if it's going to be 1 or 2 Doodlebug Christmas kits coming. So, but yeah, there we go. That about wraps that up. And I need to get back to doing lives. I'm about done with my D-stash that I've been doing over on Whatnot. That has taken up so much more time than I would have ever thought it would. And I just haven't had a chance to get on here and go live and do anything. And I don't always do tutorials like this. Most of the time when I get on here and go live, I'm doing like other things that I like to play with, not necessarily tutorials of albums, although I do it sometimes. Usually we get to play with other stuff that like I just want to play with and talk to somebody while I do it. So there we go. So thank you guys for watching. Sorry for the late notice on this. It was literally spur of the moment. I was getting ready to record it and I went, you know what? I'm going to do this live because I need the practice. And so everybody have a wonderful weekend and I'll be back soon, hopefully with the first of the Christmas projects because it's a big one and you're going to want to start it early. So thanks for tuning in, you guys.